The January 6th House Select Committee laid out its case, showing what it says is former President Donald Trump's dereliction of duty as the attack on the Capitol happened and in the day that followed. The most recent January 6th committee hearing focused on Trump's response to the Capitol riot and his actions during the insurrection. Witnesses shared testimony, giving minute-by-minute accounts as they say they advised him to calm the crowd, but that for 187 minutes he made no such move and did not contact police or the military to break up the riot. Former Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Matthews testified that instead Trump was tweeting about how then Vice President Mike Pence let him down.
January 6, 2021 was one of the darkest days in our nation's history, and President Trump was treating it as a celebratory occasion with that tweet.
Committee co-chair Liz Cheney announced there would likely be at least one more public hearing later this year as the committee wraps up its investigation. Steve Bannon, a longtime ally of former President Donald Trump, has been convicted of contempt charges related to the January 6th insurrection. Bannon was found guilty of defying a subpoena from the House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. Bannon told reporters he stood with Trump and the Constitution and vowed to appeal. He faces up to 2 years in federal prison when he's sentenced on October 21st. Joining me now is Chuck Todd, moderator of Meet the Press. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, Christy.
One of your guests today is Virginia Representative Elaine Luria, who also is serving on the January 6th committee. And although the hearings have built a pretty strong case surrounding former President Donald Trump's refusal to act, what are the odds we get Trump to actually testify, especially here in the Georgia case? And how do you think that would change public perception?
Well, look, I think there's three potential places he could be deposed, right? Where you sort of force, or he could get subpoenaed. One is the January 6th committee. I think that's the least likely place we're going to see him deposed. One is the Georgia investigation, and I think that is still a possibility. I don't know. I think he's going to have a hard time avoiding a grand jury subpoena there if and when it comes. And that will be fascinating if and when that happens. And then, look, I think the other thing that was laid out on Thursday night that, I think is very likely to happen is you're going to have civil litigation against the former president. Look, it may be a pretty high bar to charge him criminally for incitement, but it's a lower bar that his dereliction of duty was responsible for some wrongful deaths during the January 6th riot. So, I think it's also possible, think of O.J. Simpson was not convicted in criminal court, but he lost he lost the trial in civil court and had to pay that huge fine. I think there's always a chance there that the former president ends up deposed in something like that as well. So I don't think Donald Trump's going to avoid having to go under oath at some point on what he did on January 6th.
Now to two competing hot-button issues, Georgia abortion access versus the economy. What do you think independent or undecided Georgia voters will focus on most this fall?
If I had the answer to that, I think I'd be a wealthy person. That's a great, how does this get litigated during the fall? How much of it, is on the front of voters' minds? Who is that undecided voter at the end of the day? I think, look, I do think that if Stacey Abrams wins, it'll be over this issue. It'll be because this issue is seen as bigger than that. And so I do think it's going to be a big part of her campaign. But we're going to find out. I mean, I think it is one of the reasons why overall the current picture in the midterm elections is a lot more competitive of a picture than it was just 3 months ago. And I think a lot of that has to do with the abortion issue.
All right, Chuck, thanks. Meet the Press airs at 10 right after 11 Alive Weekend Morning News.